Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's EVM and this is something that I believe is utterly key to mass EV adoption actually happening. It's something that is very much needed for people who can't charge from home, but it's also critical, I've come to realise, for people who can charge at home and easily own an EV, but choose not to. My wife is one of them. I will be talking to her later to explain what I've just said, but ultimately, everything is reliant on many pieces of the puzzle. You need them all in place. We need fast charging hubs, we need lots of them, we need lots of things in place, essentially. But the key one, the biggest priority for me, is destination charging. Without that, this whole thing's going to fall flat on its face. Everyone seems to be concentrating on big super hubs, DC rapid charging. Let's get it in as quickly as possible. That's important, but it's not as important as destination charging. Now, destination charging, for those that are unaware, is, well, just as it sounds really, chargers at your destination. So if you were going on a long journey, let's say 500 miles, the car only does 200 miles, then that's kind of onward charging or onward journey charging, whatever you want to call it. That's where you're just stopping to refuel, get it as quickly as possible and carry on your journey. Whereas destination charging is, well, I'm going to the supermarket, I'm stopping there for, let's say, an hour, so therefore I can charge at my destination. In that hour, I will get more back from charging at the supermarket than I will use getting there. If you could charge at your office, it's sat there for, 8 hours typically as a car? You could fill the car up in that time. So destination charging is really, really critical. Anyone that's got an EV and that's visited a cottage or an Airbnb, had a holiday somewhere and being able to charge at wherever you're staying, it makes it so much easier because you're leaving like at home with a full charge. If you visited, family and they're a distance away, if you could use their charger, i.e. charge at their destination, well, that would be the same as just driving home and plugging in your charger. So if everywhere that you regularly visit has destination charging, it means that even if you can't charge at home, it should be easy. I mean, the rollout, that's the hard bit, and that's my problem. People aren't, or councils, networks, governments, all of the people that are part of the puzzle, they're not really doing much about destination charging. We're getting some, don't get me wrong, here and there. There's councils putting some fast chargers in, and that's the beauty about destination charging. They don't need to be the mega expensive rapid DC chargers that people like. They just need to be fast chargers. You could probably install 20 fast chargers for the price of one rapid. I would rather have a car park with 100 fast chargers in it than just 2 or 3 rapid ones. Because if people are parking there like a shopping centre for several hours, that is far easier. You're not worried about blocking anything or having to move your car after 20-30 minutes or any of that. Now let me explain briefly. We have 2 cars. We both work and use this for a commuting vehicle for most of the time. I work during the day, she works typically evening, nights, so we can use the same car for commuting, which is why this gets a lot of miles on it. There is occasionally an overlap, which is why ultimately we need 2 cars. Public transport doesn't exist where we are, really. She doesn't want to change car number 2 from it's a Mini that we've had for 6-7 years now. She doesn't want to change that for a full electric equivalent, whether that's an electric Mini or a similar small car, because we don't need a big car, this can do that. And that's not because she's unfamiliar with driving an EV. Like myself, she's driven them for 8 years. So she's experienced, but is still choosing to not jump over to the EV side, as it were. So why is that? Right, this is our Mini.
It is.
Imagine if we made it full electric. Now, something you do on a semi-regular basis in terms of long trips. Going to your parents, Robin Hood's Bay, which is near Whitby for those that aren't familiar. So if you got your mum and dad's in this, you just go there and drive back. I mean, you do fill up a couple of days beforehand, to be fair, so there is inconvenience there, but you're familiar with it.
Yeah, but I always, if I'm going to go on a journey, even if it's an hour and a half, or whether it's 3 hours, whatever it is, I always fill up.
So if this miraculously became electric overnight, and then you drove to your mum and dad's, no problem, but you wouldn't be able to drive back again without having to stop and charge somewhere. Now, if I could guarantee there's loads of chargers along that route that will work, would that change the fact that you don't want to go electric yet?
Well, if I know that I can just do the journey, go to mum and dad's, park up, come back, that to me is a nice, simple, happy loaner journey.
It's a hassle.
It is, yeah. And it also, because I'm not the most relaxed driver and I get worried when I'm driving, if I think I've got to charge somewhere and I need to incorporate that into the journey, I'm then thinking, where am I going to be charging? How am I going to get to the charge point?
Is it going to work and so forth?
Yeah, so
Right.
it just adds to
Okay, well,
the
let's
anxiety.
change it around then. So that's clearly not going to work. If I said that you could charge at your mum and dad's, so they had their own, they had one of our chargers, if you
Yeah.
will, because they've got a driveway, it's just the driver charger. If you could charge at your mum and dad's, would that change this? Because essentially you would drive there, spend a day or two, and leave with a full charge. It would be like being at home. So it's like taking your home charger with you. Would that make you be more than happy to take a full electric, relatively short range car?
You know it would.
Because
it takes
so it's not
out
the
the-
charging, it's where.
Yes.
And going to services or hotels or wherever they're buried, that's the main issue. And it complicates the journey that you don't particularly like doing anyway.
Exactly.
Right, so Robin Hood's Bay, bit further, again.
It is further, it's twice as far.
It is, and it's a black hole at the moment of charging. So again,
Yeah.
if you could charge near Whitby or in Robin Hood's Bay where you stay, which again is essentially like taking your charger with you, easy.
That would make a difference, yeah. If there was charging nearby to there that I could easily get to, then yes, that would.
So charging at the
Make it more
destination
desirable.
would make you
That-
want the car, but charging, service charging, onward charging, makes no difference, essentially. So it's the destination charging that's key.
Yes.
What I need to do then to change this into an electric version of whatever is get your mum and dad a charger and make sure there are chargers everywhere you semi-regularly visit. Is that what I'm having to do to go full electric?
What a husband has to do to please his wife, eh?
I've done more than that in the past. Well, thank you, my beautiful wife, for coming on the channel. I know it's a bit of a pain
Hardship.
for you. It's a hardship. Right, you need to go to work soon, don't you? As do I. Editing. So again, it makes every difference in the world, doesn't it? She's gone from no to, well, if I could charge there and there easily enough, whilst I'm parked up, even overnight, not bothered, then yes, I'd be happy to do that. It doubles the range of an EV. Let me give you an example. When we went to Chester Zoo, which was, I think it's about 80 miles away, in the Leaf we had before this. So we're going back a few years now. That did 100, 105 miles-ish in the real world. So we could easily get to Chester Zoo, but we'd absolutely have to charge on the way back. Now, that's not so much a problem, but it is inconvenient, and it's something that people don't want to do at the moment, given the state of the public charging infrastructure. So, being able to charge at Chester Zoo, which they could, you can now and you could back then, meant that by the time we came out, we had a full charge again. We just drove straight home. So we didn't charge going or coming back. We just charged at our destination, and ultimately that destination charging, at least for the several hours that you're at something like a zoo, doubled the range of the EV, doubled the range of the car. So it means a shorter range EV is suddenly much more usable. So again, it's key. Even if you think 200, 250 miles isn't enough, if you can charge at your office, your workplace, and you're there for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, well, you're going to be full again by the time you leave, unless you've got some mega commute anyway. So rapid charging, the onward charging I mentioned earlier, where you just want to charge and keep going, that's still a big part of the puzzle, don't get me wrong, but destination is where it's at. That's the big one. If you graze, charge everywhere you stop, and the infrastructure is not in place yet, don't get me wrong, then you wouldn't need to top up, and that's the culture change. With the petrol diesel car, and we've still got one, when you get to the, let's say on the red, you fill it up. Whereas with an EV, unless you can charge at home, of course, you charge when you can, not when you need. And there's a big difference there. If you had half a tank of petrol, you wouldn't think, I'm going to put another half tank. I'll fill it up just because I'm passing. So you don't need to. Whereas with an EV, if you had 50% charge and you pulled outside a family's house and they have their own charger, well, put it up to 80%, 90% or whatever. And then you go to the office and you charge a bit there. You go to the cinema, you go to the supermarket and so forth. So again, this for me is, it's not forgotten. A lot of people know that they need it, but all the money seems to be ploughed into supercharging hubs. As I said, the grid served charging hubs are fantastic, and we do need that sort of thing. But we need that level of money going into council car parks. The government or whoever needs to give more money to these councils, who hopefully will actually make use of it this time, and then just litter them with chargers. Supermarkets, everyone goes to supermarkets. If there were dozens of chargers at the moment and eventually hundreds, it would make things easier. The car is sat there for hours. The majority of its life, I reckon, 90% of a car's life, it's not doing anything. So let's get it charging. And it doesn't have to be, again, a super fast charger. I'm sure if at your home you had a little petrol tank that just dribbled petrol into your car, just a litre an hour, well, it doesn't matter. After 12 hours, you've got 12 litres put into it. If that was happening every night, or at every destination, your office, for example, you wouldn't need to visit a petrol station, would you? And that's the difference. That's the culture change. So it's going to be a challenge. I don't even know if it's absolutely going to work. Is it going to be there by the 2035 deadline? Well, maybe, maybe not. That's not the point of this video. I'm saying if we can get this infrastructure in place, EV ownership can be very easy. So ultimately, yeah, that's it really. Thank you to my beautiful wife for coming on the channel, and thank you to you for watching this. And if you want to support the channel, not just by subscribing, but by joining as a member, then you click the join button, which is next to subscribe. 99p means you get some of these videos earlier. So Friday videos appear on Sunday for members. There's a members only video at the end of every month, so you can ask me questions, do what you like. And there are occasional members only videos as well. So that's essentially my Patreon. And either someone let a big firework off then, or I'm in the middle of Bradford and someone's shooting at me. I'm going to get going now. Thanks, bye.